Hi, my name is Simo Frestadius. I'm the Dean of Research at Regents Theological College, and I'm also the Executive Director of the Institute for Pentecostal Theology here at Regents. In terms of theology, what is theology and why study it? For me, theology really is the search and the quest for knowledge and truth. It's the quest for truth about God, about the world, and about ourselves. However, it's not just spectator kind of knowledge or truth, but fundamentally it's personal knowledge, it's personal truth, and therefore it's transformative. So at Regents, if you were to come and study here, and our students who are studying here, really our kind of philosophy of education really focuses on what we call the heads, the hearts, and the hands, because we see theology as transforming all of those aspects of life, and at least that is our aspiration. And when it comes to studying theology here, we see ourselves as a community of learners, and as learners we start by listening. We start by listening to God. We start by listening to what God wants to say through the biblical text. We start listening to each other, and I guess listening to ourselves as well in what we are saying. And I think for me, that's one of the great things about being here, is that we are a community of listeners, community of learners, and we're in this thing together. And that in itself is transformative in many ways, but it's also more than that. We're also interested in then going out into the world and making a gospel difference out there. So for me, learning theology at Regents is not just about personal transformation. It is, of course, about that, but it's also about mission. In terms of my teaching at the college, I teach various modules at undergrad and also some at postgrad level. So I teach, for example, undergraduate level, I teach evangelism and apologetics, theology in the public sphere. And I suppose for both of those modules, the focus is really on the gospel as public truth out there in the wider world. What does that mean? What are some of the objections that people may have against the Christian truth in terms of objections against the faith? We explore those. But also, what's the more positive message, the positive thing that the gospel can do when it comes to the world of politics, economics, media, the arts? Hugely influential, and we're just looking at some of those things as well. The other thing I teach Pentecostal theology. I teach that both at undergrad level and at postgraduate level. So really looking at this Pentecostal tradition, which is in its modern format, been going for over 100 years, and of course takes its name from the book of Acts, chapter 2, at least the New Testament, the day of Pentecost. Of course, we find Pentecost in the Old Testament as well. But really kind of looks at when the Spirit is poured out on the people of God. And then what does that mean? Well, what does it mean for life, the church? What does it mean for us? And so that's something I teach. And then I also teach more broadly systematic or constructive, or if you like, philosophical theology. So a module like issues in contemporary theology. I also at master's level, I contribute a bit of looking at philosophy and theology in the module thinking theologically. So those are some of the things that I teach. In terms of my own personal research, I'm really interested. I suppose my own research focuses predominantly on Pentecostal theology and philosophical theology. So my doctoral research was looking at Pentecostal epistemology, so theory of knowledge from a Pentecostal perspective, or if you like, Pentecostal rationality. How do Pentecostals reason? And I always try to ground myself in the reality of a particular Pentecostal tradition or movement, or the lived experience of people and the church. But then I try to develop that in light of theological and philosophical frameworks and methods. And then also I'm always really keen, the way I see theology, that is not just an insular inquiry into something that we're doing and we're interested in within the safe walls of our church, but theology should be that of a public inquiry into truth. So therefore, I'm very keen that once we've been robust at looking at where we're coming from, whether we're Pentecostals or Baptists or Methodists or Anglicans, or if you from another religious tradition, so we take seriously our own tradition, our own history, but then we move from that and we dialogue with other traditions. So for me, theology is contextual, but fundamentally it's also dialogical, in that we dialogue with others, not just with the traditions, intellectual traditions, but also with other disciplines. For me, it needs to be interdisciplinary and perhaps even pluralistic, to use that phrase or that word.